Hi, I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Hello. Thank you for joining us on For the Greater Good with your host, Evelyn Richardson. Today I have my special guest. Her name is Donna Thompson Daniels. Donna has been involved in quite a few things, so I'm actually going to have to look at my paper so that I can make sure that I get some of her outstanding involvement documented correctly. Donna Thompson Daniel is the 7th District Town. She's on the 7th District Town Committee along with myself. She is a co-spokesperson for the 7th District Town Committee along with myself. She is also the president of the Blue Hills NRZ, and she is she's been in the in politics for quite a while. Donna Thompson Daniels have served on other town committees in the past. She's also recently a graduate of Capital Community College, where she sat on the Senate for Capital Community College. And she left there with, if I'm not mistaken, I think about 3 degrees. She's an advocate, activist, and community organizer, and we are very pleased to have her today on For the Greater Good. Hello, Donna. How are you doing?
Hello, Evelyn. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. So, Donna, I have some questions for you. Are you ready?
I sure am, Evelyn.
Okay, let's get it going. First, I would like for you to just please tell us, where did Donna grow up? Where did she live? And then where do you presently live that allow you to be in the 7th District of Hartford?
I was born and raised in Hartford. My parents were pregnant with me when they came from Florida. So I was born on Avon Street. I don't even know where that street is. People tell me it used to be by Sands, over in the Sands apartments, somewhere over there.
Okay.
So that's where I grew up at. Now I live on Lime Street, which is the Blue Hills neighborhood, and that is part of the 7th District. So I'm happy to be a resident of Hartford, and I love and enjoy here.
Okay, so how long have you been in the Blue Hills community?
I've been here for 30 years.
30 years, okay. So describe your community of Blue Hills. Tell me, as far back as you remember, you just stated that you've been there for 30 years. Okay, if I'm thinking, you look like you're probably about 32. So how did it look when you were a kid or a young adult over in the Blue Hills community? And then in contrast to what it looks like today.
Well, when I moved into Blue Hills, it was a mixture. There were a mixture of Caucasian, Blacks. There were no Latinos at that time, or there weren't that many West Indians either at that time.
Okay, now when was this?
This is back in the early 80s.
Okay.
When I first.
The early 80s, no Latinos, and wow,
no,
okay.
No. So that's the difference. Now I'm starting to see a few more. There were more whites than back then, but now I'm starting to see a few more Latinos. I think we have about 20 that are living in the Blue Hills neighborhood now.
You got it down to a number?
Yeah, I do, because I speak to my community.
Okay.
So I know who they are, and I try to keep in touch with them. And also, now we're starting to have a lot more West Indians who are moving into the community. And then the ones who are African Americans, they're older now, so they're starting to either pass away or they're moving out of the community and going into down south or to the south.
Okay. So I heard not long ago that Blue Hills actually was one of the biggest taxpayer communities in Hartford. Do you have any information on that for our viewers?
The reason being is that because it's the highest homeowners in the city of Hartford. People say that all the time, but I keep thinking to myself, renters pay taxes. They just don't hear it the same way that they're paying taxes, because every time their rent goes up, that probably means their owner got their taxes raised. So that means the taxes are passed on to the renter. So to me, it's like everybody has their fair share of taxes. But when people say that, that's what they mean, is because it's mainly homeowners that live in the Blue Hills neighborhood, single homeowners.
So share with me an advantage. If I was looking for a community or neighborhood in Hartford to live in, what would be one of your pitches? Put on your NRZ president hat. What would you say about the Blue Hills neighborhood that would attract me to wanting to live there?
It's a quiet place to live. It really is.
I like noise.
See, I'm not. I like to play my music, but there are times when I just want quiet. And when I first moved to Blue Hills, no one knew where I lived. No one knew my street. It wasn't until MDC started digging up Granby Street that people realized, wait a minute, that's Lime Street. Because no one knew that. But they didn't know a lot of the streets in that community because they would either use Blue Hills or they would use Granby. They would never go down any of the other streets. And now since they're diverted to those other streets, now they're starting to see that there's a lot more to Blue Hills community.
Okay. So, Donna, one of the wonderful things about you today is that you have decided to stick your foot in the race for state representative for our community. So tell me about that. What happened? I mean, when did you make the decision that you would like to lead our community as a state representative?
Well, I've always wanted to lead our community, and it wasn't as a state representative, but it's always been in some kind of capacity. But something didn't happen until, I want to say it was around about March, after the town committee, and we won the election. People were asking me, you know what, you're always doing something in our community. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? And then I started thinking, well, wait a minute. If I could do all the things that I've done in the community now with no money, what about if I had state backing, state monies behind me to do more things in our community? And now that our community has grown bigger, it's not just Blue Hills area anymore. It has grown out to the North End part where you live. It's just not Blue Hills anymore. So now you have to take care of a bigger portion of people. And I think that the only thing to do is to make sure that everyone has a say-so in what happens in the community. It's not just one community, it's all of our community. And we need to make sure that the proper things happen. And I saw that things weren't coming to our community, that were going to other communities. And it has a lot to do with who your state rep is. So if your state rep is doing more than they should be doing, then your community prosper. But if your state rep is not, and they're doing less, then you lack a lot of things that the other people are getting in the other parts of the city.
So would you say that that's a lack of advocacy on part of the community? Because I actually, there are things happening in the city of Hartford. We can't deny that there are some advantages to being a resident or even a voter in the communities. You have this opportunity to get in touch with these people and allow the leaders in the community, whether it be at City Hall or at LOB, to know what our concerns are, what our needs are, and what our wants are. Over the years that you've been involved in community work or in the political arena, have you found that the items or the needs that you have expressed to our leaders, have they been sufficiently met? Have they not been met, or just maybe just ignored? How would you view it?
Sometimes I wonder, are they really listening to the community? Because as a person who's running for state rep, I've had a chance to get out and go talk to the community. They always ask me, what is it you're going to do when you get up there? And I usually say, what is it you would like me to do when I get up there? Because I know what I would like to see happen. But what would you like to see happen? Because I don't want you to say, well, she's doing what she wants to do. She's not doing what we want her to do. So when they've given me things that they would like to see happen, I keep saying to myself, well, did you tell your other state reps or your mayor or your governor that these are the things you would like to see happen? They say once they get elected, they never see them anymore. And I said, well, sometimes you have to go where they are and make it known. Sometimes you got to take 10, 20 people to make things happen. So I feel that if you really want something in your community, you're going to go make some noise to make it happen. You shouldn't have to do that, but that's the way it is. You have to make noise in order to get things to happen. And I've noticed that in our neighborhood, we're a little quieter than some of the people in the South End. So if a lot is happening in the South End of Hartford, that's because those people are making noise.
The squeaky wheel gets the attention type of approach, of course.
So
okay. So how hard or easy was it or is it for you to be running for state rep for 7th District of Hartford along with one of your teammates. And we know that State Representative Douglas McCrory is the present representative, and he is also running again. And here you are on the same team with him, and you are. How does that feel?
It's democracy at work. So
good choice of words.
so that's how I feel, because if you feel that you have the right, you feel you have the want, you feel you have the energy to go further and do something for your community, and if you're passionate about what you believe in, then go do it. I have a friend who wants to run for mayor. I told her, do it. If that's what you want to do it. Don't let nobody discourage you from what you want. If you can do it, if you feel you can do it, it can happen. So it's interesting because I went to school with his sister, you know, and she says, "You're running against my brother." I was like, "Yes, I am." She says, "You know what? It's democracy."
There you go.
And she says, "That's okay." And I said, "That's how it is. If you want something, you got to go for it. Because you're going to always say, I should have did it. And if you don't do it, then you never know if you could have won."
Exactly. So I agree. So how long has it been that you've been involved in politics in Hartford?
I'm going to say about 10 years that I really got involved in politics in Hartford. It was when I was the president of the Blue Hills Civic Association. I started going to a lot of meetings, and I started seeing some things that really interested me. And I said, you know what? If I was in that position, this is what I would do. If I was in that position, this is what I would do. So I decided to go for it. I decided to make those things happen. So once I got involved in Blue Hills Civic, I got involved in Blue Hills NRZ. Then I got involved with the town committee. And then I started sitting some other boards like the Hartford 2000. I became the president of the School Crossing Guard Association. I went to college. So I started doing a lot of different things. And I said, you know what? I like my community. I want to do more. So that's why I decided I want to do more for our community.
All right. All right. So, okay. If you had your way, and say you got elected to be our next state representative, and you wanted to leave a legacy in Hartford, what would be that big, lofty, idealistic thing that you would accomplish for the community of Hartford before you were off into another arena or path in life? What would that thing be? I mean, there's leaders where, you know, I read some of the articles from in the past, and they have leaders that left out with a bang, but before they left, maybe they advocated for gay rights, and they, you know, and that thing that they had accomplished during that time, they were able to leave a legacy behind. So 50 years from now, I can go back and look into the Hartford Current and find that so-and-so did this, you know, Miss Ella Cromwell, she did this, or whoever it is, they did. What would be something, an agenda item, a big ticket item, some great lofty thing, maybe building a highway to heaven? I don't know what it is. What would you like to see?
What I would like to see is jobs for those who have been incarcerated, who have done their time, and once they've done their time, should not still be doing their time once they get out of jail. If they were to get meaningful work, I don't mean McDonald's. It's nothing wrong with working at McDonald's. But if they were to be able to become a COO in the city of Hartford, or to become the mayor of Hartford, because they did their time, they've paid their dues, and they need to have a sufficient, sustainable way of living. So if it was my way, that would be a law that I would definitely change. Once you did your time, nobody should ever have to find out about your time. That you should be able to go on with your life and do great things. So if that's what I would like to see happen.
So at what point do a repeat offender get held accountable?
Now, that's different, because see, I said once you've done your time and you didn't do anything else, then you should be over it. But if you're a repeat offender, then you deserve your due just, you know, because if you keep doing the same thing over and you're not being held accountable, then that's a problem with us. But if you've done your job and you haven't gone back to do it again, then you should not be held accountable over and over again for something you did that you never did again.
So what I think I'm hearing you say is that if a person has done their time and they come out and they're applying for work, that your past cannot be used against you on the application. So if I go to apply for a job, I would actually have to do something wrong and you let me go, instead of you're holding me accountable to something I may have done and I've changed. So you're just talking about removing that off of applications and as a barrier.
Yes,
Okay.
because it becomes a barrier and it continues to be a barrier and it turns into a cycle. So
are you familiar with anybody who've tried that approach or are working on that at present?
No, I haven't. I've heard of them saying ban the box, but once they ban the box, after you get the job, they still can go check and find out the information about you and let you go. So how does that help you? I want it so that they can never find out about you if you have been clean all these years and have done nothing wrong again. Nobody should know.
Thank you, Donna. We're going to take a break right here, and we'll be right back in a minute with For the Greater Good with Evelyn Richardson on accesstv.org.
At Hartford Public Schools, we care about one thing above all, the future of our kids. That's why we're dedicated to providing all students with the knowledge and skills needed in the new global culture. Hartford Public Schools is thriving. More student success stories, more world-class facilities, more university and corporate partnerships, more amazing talent coming and staying in Hartford. This is how education is supposed to work. Welcome to Hartford Public Schools, where the future is present.
Hello, welcome back to For the Greater Good with Evelyn Richardson and our special guest, Donna Thompson Daniel from the 7th District Town Committee and also from the president of the Blue Hills NRZ. Okay, Donna, we ended off, let me see, I asked you that. So let's talk about this one. Redistricting boundaries. Do you know how long it took me to get that word off of my mouth when I first heard about it? But the redistricting boundaries. When they changed the districts, I was actually living in the 5th district at the time on Pliny Street. And somehow I couldn't understand how they did it, but I ended up a part of the 7th district, as you well know now. So sometimes when I'm talking even with other leaders in our 7th District Town Committee, it's still like we're kind of, Enfield Street is kind of not totally viewed as a part of the 7th District just because it's newly placed there. So when I heard somebody say, well, we want to start bringing more over into the Blue Hills neighborhood. So I'd be like, ooh. Okay, because Enfield Street is the northeast neighborhood, but we're definitely a part of the 7th district. Tell me, as a state representative, if you were to get into office, how would you make sure that you're not only aggressively interacting with the residents in the Blue Hills neighborhood, but that you're being mindful to cross, the park, so to say, to get over to the northeast district and interact?
This is a perfect example of why I wanted Jada to be on here with us. Is because she lives on Rockville Street, and I've been concentrating my time over on Rockville, Enfield, all those streets over there, and to get to know the people who I do not know. So I've had an opportunity to walk Rockville Street. I've been inviting people over there to meetings. I've had an opportunity to walk Enfield Street, having conversations, inviting people to meetings. So it's like you have to move over because it is part of the 7th, but it's just not Blue Hills. But there were other streets that weren't included in Blue Hills before it was switched because we had Sigourney before. So you just have to remember that it's not just Blue Hills. You gotta talk to
Downtown,
everybody.
Ocean,
Yeah, because it does go all the way to downtown. So I've had an opportunity to make sure that I include them in whatever I'm doing. So I've been really concentrating on the streets on the other side.
One of the things that I'm going to give you just from my personal opinion on this, when you have people that are running for office, you know, and I was actually quite surprised after we won and somebody called me a politician. I was like, oh no, not Evelyn Richardson. She's not a politician. And, you know, and it was my godfather, in fact, and he said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, honey, when you put your name and somebody voted for you on the ballot, you immediately became a politician. And the reason that I had this reluctance to the label, the title, or the position, the word politician, is because some of the experiences that I had was that I would see people in my community, at my block parties, you know, knocking on my door, and very nice people, you know, speak very well and interacting with me. And then it seems like once they made it into City Hall, they were no more a part of the community. They were a landmark institution within the building. And it was like I lost that interaction where I could say, you know, so-and-so, this is happening over here on Pliny or Enfield Street, and I would like for you to, you know, to come and get involved or come and hear my complaints or my concerns. And it was like, you know, you might not even get an email back from City Hall. It's like it went into a prison and got lost. So that's kind of how I view politicians. As you said, people, you told me a story earlier about some people that you knocked on their door and you invited them to a meeting, and they was like, well, you know, you won't be back. You got our signatures, you know, we're used to it, you know. We just filter it out, we just sign and, you know, have a nice day. But you was like, no, I'll be back, you know. So tell me how you're going to actually not get so overwhelmed with the responsibilities of the building where you don't succumb to the same behaviors as maybe some of our past leaders.
I can think of two past leaders who I'm really good friends with. And one is still in office and one is out, and they are still committed to the community. And that's one of the things that made me get involved.
Well, I want to hear their names because we want to celebrate people
one
like that.
name is former Council President Arjo Winch. How I met her, I was told not to even talk to her, to stay away. And I said, no, I decide for myself who I decide I want to be friends with or who I want to get to know. Once I got to know her, I admired what she does. She went out of her way for many people, and she still does. She's not an elected official right at this moment, but she has not forgotten what she needs to do for her community. The other one is Matt Ritter, a man who I look at when I call him. He does what you ask him to do. And sometimes you might forget what you ask him to do.
And he get back on it.
And he get right back on it. Because he doesn't forget what you ask him to do. And those are people who I respect because they know what it takes to make sure the people are taken care of. So if I grow up, I want to be like those two people. And to do the things in the community and not forget. Because right now, as the president and chair of the Blue Hills NRZ, and as the school crossing guard president, you have to make sure you keep in touch with the people in your community because they have concerns, they have things that interest them, and you need to make sure that they're taken care of. You don't forget them because those are the people that put you there. As a town committee member, those are the ones who elected you to be in the place because they thought that you would represent them well.
Thank you. So tell us about your door knocking and fundraising and I'm you know, congratulations. You made it to be on the for the what do you call it? You made it to be on for the primaries.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes,
the word
yes.
I got lost with that word. So you made it to be on the primary.
A couple of days ago, I got the phone call telling me that I made it on the ballot,
Okay.
and that I will be on as a candidate because the people elected me to be there. So I'm going to be on the primary. Yeah, I'll be on the ballot. So I'm excited about that.
I bet you are.
Thank you.
And how many signatures did you need to be able to accomplish that feat?
I had to get I believe it was 367. So I was able to get over 400. So it was a week and a half.
A week and a half to get those signatures?
To get those signatures.
I was like, whoo, God bless her. When Arjo came and knocked on my door and got a signature for you, I was like, thank goodness nobody ain't asked me. God bless her. So yeah. I was at, to share a brief story with you, I was at City Hall. Well, you obviously know we had a town committee meeting, and they also had open public comment at City Council. And a gentleman is sitting in the room with me after I do a testimony, and he asked me if I know Eric Coleman. And I was like, certainly, I know our state Senator Eric Coleman. He said, well, have you spoken to him about, the Rock Cats? And I said, no, I haven't spoken to him. I said, why? Should I speak to him about it? Can he influence, the decision on the Rock Cats? He was like, well, let's see. I'm going to call him and tell him to give you a call and give him your number. I said, well, he has my number and stuff. So he says, oh, really? He does. So a few minutes later, he turns back to me and he says, well, so are you going to be voting for Mr. Coleman? And I was like, I'm on 7th District Town Committee. And he was like, oh, so yeah, they endorsed Sean. Are you going to be voting for Sean? I said, well, I voted for him to be able to to win the endorsement. So it's like, and why wouldn't you have voted for Eric Coleman? I said, well, as a voter, this is my reason. When I first, had reached out to Mr. Coleman about maybe 9 years ago about a very pressing family issue with DCF, I never got a response. I said, over that 8 years, I've sent numerous emails to Senator Coleman, and to this day, I still have not received a response. I respect the man, but the fact of the matter is that when I advocated for my family or my community, I never got a response. What type of sense would it make for me to vote for a leader that I can't touch, that I can't reach out to and get that feel? So who are you going to hire to answer all those emails? Because I'm quite sure that Mr. Coleman probably, when that gentleman tells him what I had to say, he'll probably be like, I'm not good at emails, or some reason why he might get 5,000 emails a day. What happens if you get in that situation?
Well, I can tell you, I will go back to those same two people that when they get responses from their constituents, they respond personally. They don't use somebody else to respond for them. Just like if you're concerned, you want those votes, you're out there knocking on the doors, right? You as a candidate, you go knock on every single door in that district, right? When those people call you, why not respond to them personally?
I don't think Senator Coleman, I voted for him every year up until now, and I've never seen him at my door.
Yeah, well, the two people I mentioned to you have knocked on every door in the city of Hartford or the state, wherever district they are in. And that's why I say, if you truly want to be an effective person, you have to be honest with who you are, and you have to be honest with the people in the community, because they know if you're doing the right thing by them.
Or possibly your abilities to meet the needs. So, we all have our shortcomings, and and
maybe that's not his thing,
not his strength.
So then, if that's not your strength, then you need to make sure somebody else is doing it.
There you go. So your opponent, State Representative Douglas McCrory, do I dare ask? Do you think you can beat him?
Why not? Anybody can win. He won against an incumbent, so why can't I win against him?
Who was he running against that he won the seat from?
Miss Annette Carter.
Okay.
And she was here for years. But he was able to get some people to rally behind him who went out and really made sure that he won. So.
Okay. Oh, good timing, because my last question says, Donna, you have 2 minutes to talk to our viewing audience and tell them why you are the candidate for state representative.
I have proven myself as a person who loves the community, who do work for the community. When you call me, I respond. When things happen in my community, I respond. When I see a need, I respond. I've brought in many things into the community that I live in, such as the dollar store. I've brought in playgrounds, football fields. I've helped save over 200 homes in my community from the tax rolls. So I've done a lot of things that, as a person who, I'm not getting paid for any of these things, but because I love my community, I automatically just get up. When someone asks me to do something, I do it. And that's why I think I'm the candidate, because I believe in my community and my community believes in me.
Thank you very much, Donna. Thank you for coming to the show, taking time out today, and I wish you all the best in your campaign. And thank you, viewers, for joining us here today on accesstv.org for the greater good with Evelyn Richardson. Join us again here next week, and we'll hear from another politician who is running for office and see what he has to say about his campaign and our community. Have a blessed day.